We're gonna have to do this, consider request for certificate of compliance. We've got 3 or 4 minutes here. Now, does anybody, do you remember this 184 Millville Road?
I think that was before my time. Was that the driveway that it was an order of condition that got superseded? It was like
Yeah.
1992,
He's
maybe.
trying to
That
close
maybe
it.
Mike was around that
Yeah,
time,
I
but
know.
Do we have the file? Do we have,
The red on the table there.
it sounded like the correspondence, they did what they were supposed to do, regrade it. It was out of our hands, so that's how many years ago? 20, 30 years ago?
Norman Hill.
28 years ago.
28.
I wasn't on
The
that.
damage is done and it,
Well,
yeah, I
they're
don't think
just
I
trying to
was
sell it.
either.
They're trying to sell the property.
Yeah, and I don't, yeah, it's a lien on it, so I think we should just sign
I
it.
mean, I don't
Right.
believe there's any issues down.
I don't think so, I haven't heard.
No.
Only real issue that we had back then with the developer was that that was back when we used to advertise in the Milford Daily News.
Yeah. Oh, and he didn't pay for the
Chairman at
advertising?
the time, this guy, Micah Mandelier,
Oh, you were the chairman?
sent a letter saying your refusal to pay this bill and your lack of compliance with the law certainly raises questions about further dealings with the Mendon Conservation Commission.
So he was the
I think
same
it
way
was
back
right
then.
after
He might
that.
have been even worse back then.
I think right after that, he paid the bill.
I bet he did.
Right, it seemed like the only issue, the technical issue,
Yeah.
was that the grading. I'm sure we thought it was going to go to the wetlands, and they sent it to DP, and they said, well, if they do it differently, it shouldn't have an effect, so. It sounded like they did it differently.
I think it's safe to sign off on it.
I'll make that motion to sign off on the certificate of completion for what address, Millville Road?
184.
184 Millville.
DEP number 219-0219.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have anybody, Emilio, Carl, you on?
Carl is here. Carl.
That's an aye.
Carl, you want to, we just made a motion to
Issue an order.
issue the certificate of compliance for 184 Millville Street. You in favor?
Carl Hummel, yes.
Tim Icardi, yes.
All right. All set with that, Dan? You good?
Just so you know, there was no,
Carl, are you keeping minutes here?
No, I expect Bill would be
All
able
right.
to.
I am,
Okay, Bill, just making sure.
yep.
All right, so we're going to open a public hearing, 7:15. It's a continued public hearing, notice of intent for proposed single-family house at 27 Park Street, DEP number 218-0809. Anybody here for that?
Mr. Chairman,
Alexis Heiser is here. I'm just on the phone.
Yep.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, can I jump in?
go ahead.
So this time, on this one, you were just waiting for the letter from National Heritage, which was received, and everything's okay there.
So we already voted on this?
Yes.
I'm not sure, it was, the hearing was continued. I don't think an approval was voted.
You're good with that one, right? That was the one on Freeman Place?
Yeah, I think so.
They changed the driveway and stuff.
But there was a, why Heritage? Because there was a turtle involved?
What was the reason you were waiting on Heritage for?
The eastern box turtles,
And what was the outcome?
there would, the letter said no adverse effect of the build.
That's correct.
I'll move that to approve the notice of intent.
Thank you.
Second?
I'll second the motion to approve the notice of intent for the proposed single-family house that's 27 Park Street.
All in favor?
Well, wait, did she have a comment? She was going to say something? Does the applicant want to say something?
Nope, I was just saying thank you.
Peter says aye.
Mike?
Mike says aye.
Carl Hummel, yes.
Tim?
Yeah.
Tim Aye says from aye. Emilio.
Okay. All in favor, so unanimous, that one goes. Bill, you all set with that?
Yes, yes, sir.
We got a new public hearing, notice of intent for replacement of a failed septic system at 65 Hartford Ave West, DEP filing 218-0811. Anything on this, Bill?
I do not believe so. Any documents would be in your folder, and I'll look also.
I just wanted to make sure we didn't have anything.
Nothing unusual here.
Okay, how you doing?
Hi, Don. My name is Rauf Mankarius with Alpha
You can
Omega.
grab that if you want.
My name is Rauf Mankarius with Alpha Omega Engineering. I'm here representing Andre Belov.
Is that on?
I'm sorry?
Is it? Okay, go ahead. No, don't. Oh, okay.
All right. So here we have a failed septic system that's about maybe 10, 12 feet from the wetlands, and it's completely on the water table. It's a very challenging site, which we have a very small parcel. We have wetland in the back of the property. We have a well that's 38.7 feet away from the proposed septic, and we have a drainage pipe that's coming on the side of the property. So basically, and also there is a walkout basement in the back. So the only option we have is to close out the walkout basement in the back, add some retaining walls, do one of the innovation technologies for septic, which is reduces the system we get a 40% reduction in system size. Also, we have to move the well, do a new well to meet the setback requirement between the leach field and the well. And we got tons of variances from the Board of Health, requested them, so we can get the system in place. We don't have any other place on the property to do the system, and I think this is the only design we can have on the property.
Two questions. You mentioned a pipe coming on the side,
Yes.
and what is that pipe? Is street drainage?
Street drainage that's feeding the wetland in the back of the property.
So it's a clay pipe. Where does that clay pipe outlet, I gather?
The clay pipe is right here, and it's feeding the wetland right here near the wetland flag number
Right, so
one.
where's the end of the pipe?
Right here, at the beginning of the
At
wetland.
the beginning of the wetland,
Yes.
okay.
This is, you know where this is here?
And,
By this.
the house next door had some junk next to it, right? There's a lot of junk in the backyard?
Yeah, yes.
Not your issue, I understand.
This is the house before that.
Right, to the east of that.
Right.
Where is the septic system for that house? And or
it's-
where is its well?
It's next to it, like in this area right here, closer to our septic. Their well is in the front, away from us.
So their well is 100 feet away from that
It's,
proposed well, septic?
It's about 150 or so.
That's good. And on the other side, there's no well or
There is
septic?
nothing here, nothing on the other side, only our well, which is 38.7, and we had to relocate it closer to the drainage pipe and the street. And we're asking for a variance actually to get it closer to the street to meet the 50-foot setback between the septic and the well.
Understood. And is it a two-bedroom house, three-bedroom?
Yes, it's a three-bedroom, but the minimum size has to be designed for a three-bedroom. But there is a minimum size for a septic system we have to meet. Even if with a new technology, you still have to meet that.
Okay, if there's a minimum size for a septic, the owner is going to max out the bedrooms, right?
No,
Or is there
they
a
can't.
Board of Health, you're saying that?
The Board of
that
Health
can't-
usually do a deed restriction for a two-bedroom house.
Usually do, because I would.
It has to be done.
Okay, it has to be
Has
done.
to be.
Good. So there's a deed restriction
There will be.
limited to a two-bedroom house.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, that's true. That's.
Is that a retaining wall? You gotta put a retaining wall on?
Yes. And we're closing the foundation wall in the back, we're raising the ground, we're doing 40 mil barriers, we're doing everything we can to meet the requirements.
Yeah, because there's a problem there with the existing was going into the wetland at one
Yes,
point, yes.
I don't see any details of what you're gonna put in for a retaining wall.
It's just gonna be like the Versalux stone walls, Versalux walls, yes.
I wanna see some details,
Sure, no problem, that's it,
so make a note of that,
sure,
that we submit a plan with the details of that wall.
no problem.
Is this an approved plan?
If you look at the wall itself, it's not a huge wall. It's only like a couple
Upstairs.
feet high. You see the top of wall is 102, the bottom of wall is 100, so it's not a big wall.
It's not a big wall, you say.
It's a small wall. It's like a couple
I don't
feet.
care how big or small it is, I want to see a detail on
No
it
problem. That's fine.
and some elevations of
Sure.
Yeah.
what's happening with it, okay?
Where you're so close to the wetland, we need to have all that in place.
No problem. Sure.
Okay.
That's easy.
I see the soil logs, no perk test?
The perk test was done by a different company, actually. It's right there. There is a deep hole where
Yeah.
we have it in the middle of the system, and there is another one in the back next to the well.
Oh, I don't
So
know.
they tested different areas
there.
to see different options.
Right, and so the results of the perk test were?
Are up here.
I'm not,
That says soil was
The
too
soil-
wet to perk and was sent to the lab.
Yes.
right, so I'm not seeing,
They did a
It's not
sieve
us,
analysis.
that's the other company that did the perk test. They sent it to the lab
Yeah.
because it was so saturated.
Yeah, they did an offsite perk.
right, okay, so they did a sieve test or whatever.
Yes.
And that comes up with X amount minutes per inch.
And that's the design for
Yeah.
the septic.
But I'm not, okay, so the design rate
10
is
minutes.
10 minutes per
Yeah.
inch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty standard.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So this is the approved septic plan?
No, this is a proposed, right? This isn't approved by the Board of Health yet?
Not yet, no.
No.
But we had a preliminary meeting with them, and they said they were willing to give us any variances we can to get the septic in place.
So the way it is now, is there going to be any filling of the wetland or it's just work in the buffer?
So we're just working the buffer.
And how close is the closest point of work to the wetland?
The grading will be about 5 feet to the wetland, near flag, between flag 5 and 4. This is the nearest point.
Okay, the drain, I'm not as concerned about, I guess the septic system, or how far is that from
Oh, 21 feet.
21 feet?
Yeah. Existing system is much closer, and it's also in a ground.
Understood.
There's some elevation, right? You'd like to know what type they're doing over there. Anything showing, hopefully they got this, no, this is the house.
And how would that be finished out? It's going to be grass all the way
Yes.
into the, because I'm not sure what's there now. I imagine there's some shrubs in the wetlands
It's
or?
grass. No, there's the whole area. We're not cutting any trees. We're not touching anything. Just all grass, and it's going to remain grass.
You're telling me there's no shrubs growing up along the wetland edge? It's grass right to the wetland?
There is some. There are a few trees around, and then just like small
Wall, right?
Okay,
grass.
those few trees and the small shrubs, are they
yeah,
getting,
minor stuff.
are they getting,
No, they're staying. We're not
They're
touching.
staying,
Yeah, we're
okay.
not touching that.
so you're putting erosion control at 10 feet away, 20 feet away, 15
The,
feet
the
away?
erosion controls are all the way around the property because
Okay.
the whole property is in a 100-foot buffer,
Yeah,
and all the way at the edge of the grading, at the
Okay.
bottom of the slope, the proposed slope. So we're not going beyond that. Whatever materials they will bring, it will be done on the same place. There is no place to store any materials on site. Whatever will be taken out will be removed at the same day.
I guess where I'm going with my questions is, we're going to end up with a buffer, right? And we're going to end up with a lawn in the buffer.
Yes.
I would rather not have lawn all the way up to whatever is left there naturally that you're not going to disturb.
Yes.
I would want to see some sort of plantings. I'm not, it's a fine line whether we can require it or say, no, it's buffer, it's habitat, but trying to,
The problem, we cannot plant any trees or shrubs within certain distance of the leach field because the roots will go in the system, so we have to leave at least 10 feet.
I understand trees, shrubs don't usually send out, or it could be some sort of ground cover, right? I'm not talking big magnolias, but just something to discourage the homeowner from using that lawn in the buffer to store things, to put a wood pile. Yeah, it's, no, it's-
In the buffer zone, you could put a wood pile in the buffer zone, right? You just can't put it in the wetland, right?
I don't know. It's a judgment call, because now we're making a buffer, and no, if it, yeah. If he had to cut down a tree to make the buffer, it's an existing setup. So I'm just kind of throwing it out there.
Now, you're gonna have a retaining wall. How far is the retaining wall from the wetland?
It's the retaining wall is going to be about 25 feet, the closest point to the wetland.
To the wetland?
Yeah, the closest point of the retaining wall, yes.
No disturb, so you're gonna be right at it, yeah.
Because to be honest with you, I would support this. We need housing. It's a tight site, awkward site. So I'm looking for something on the other side to a little give more than you might have to, because the selling point, homeowner wants to do whatever. So whatever is there is going to kind of,
If the commission wanna like put some shrubs on the slope, like have it in the order of conditions, that's fine. I think that my client will be okay with
or
that.
some sort of planting besides grass. So he's not going to be tempted to mow it. I don't know, creeping juniper or, some sort of ground cover or,
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure my client will be open for that, that's fine.
well, ask him.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, at this point, you're bettering the situation, and I understand that, but we need to, like, he needs some detail on the plan for the wall.
That's
What you're going to use, just so when we do go out there for an inspection, if the person that's doing the job doesn't realize what we talked about,
I see, okay.
and he puts just a few boulders he found in the backyard versus something with fabric and a Versalock wall, it's two different things,
Yeah, I mean, even few boulders will be okay because it's only a couple feet high, but that's fine. We'll give.
Yeah, just put something there so we know what you're using,
Sure.
where you're so close.
Sure, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not seeing anything in there for driveway. It has a driveway, right? What's,
That's, the driveway is right here. It's showing
It's just
the
like a
pavement,
couple, two spots right there in the front of the house.
and the rest is gravel almost. It's mostly gravel.
so the pavement is off your property and in the right of way for the parking?
It's like
is what
almost
that's
two
telling me.
driveways, two shared driveways together between them.
Ah, yes,
Them and them.
yes. That's why I always thought they were together, kind of, yeah. So I'm not sure how water runs off of that pavement, and along the back, it looks like you'll have a swale kind of going up the edge of the property over the septic tank? Because it's lower than the road, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So water is going to come off of that driveway.
Yes.
And it goes by sheet flow, but it's not going to go around the mound that you're putting in. So it's going to be crowded off to the left, to the property line, and then going down.
And then it will find its way back to the wetland.
It'll find its way down to the wetland as long as sufficient volume doesn't come down to erode it. Yes, hopefully it's fairly shallow and not a steep pitch.
Yes.
And it's been there for a while. So I don't know, are you going to be digging it out and putting new pavement, or are you just
No,
leaving?
No, we're not touching it.
That's the only fucking thing I care about, but I mean,
It's just that
we need to see that routine.
the last thing we want to do is okay something that's going to,
Oh, I don't.
over to this guy.
Do the people, you don't own the property to the left of you, right?
No, this is the only thing they own is this like 90 by 90 bucks. That's all. Very limited property,
that's-
very small.
It's gonna be a shit show no matter how you
All
look.
right, it's 104 here. 06.
We're just a little concerned, we don't want to make it worse for him, so don't want
Right
water
here.
going over that line, right? You want to keep it,
Right
and you
here.
don't have a whole lot of room there, but,
Right, 106.
so you're going to be concentrating the flow, which is a
Definitely
concern.
heading
So
down.
as long as this,
The other engineer,
100.
client,
So this is 6 foot.
and we found a way to do it. And DEP actually Gary.
Where's that
was
water
talking
gonna
on
go?
the email, and he had no
Look at
comments on it too.
It's going to go right over to here to this guy's property. You got to see some better grading here. I'm concerned that the water, if you look up in the corner, according to this line,
Yeah,
you're at 106,
the southeast corner.
yeah.
okay? And then by the time you head to the back, 98.
106 at the, okay,
Existing.
yes,
106 and 98, 8 foot over how many, 50 feet?
90.
90 feet, 8
Yeah.
foot over 90, so that's
So it's going to be like that.
a 9% slope, right?
That's what it's currently right now.
And it's going to head to the west. I'm concerned of all this water that's going to get dumped on this guy's land and cause him a problem. I don't want to be okaying something that's going to cause a problem over here.
So you're worried about the water not going directly to the wetland, coming sideways and
It's going to
then.
miss the west.
That's kind of on a hill as it is now.
Yeah, yeah.
The leach field usually have a minimum 2% slope going from south to north, going toward the wetland. That's requirement. So it will have that. So everything will go sheet flow back toward the north.
So
To the back of the
you're assuring him it's not going to come down along the road edge,
No,
it's going to go directly back.
it will go directly to the back. Yes.
I don't know, but according to the lines you got here, it doesn't look like it. It looks like you're getting everything funneled in right here,
If you look at
which is going to come to this back of the corner.
If you look up in the system profile, you're going to see at the house it will be 103.5.
Yeah, we saw that. They
At
were
the
just
tank
right
103.35,
there.
at the system 102.5.
102,
Going
yeah.
away from the house toward the back wetland. If you look at the
Right, the
grading,
backyard, but the overall grading, if you're standing at the road,
Yes.
looking at the house, the east to west is a grade, is it flat, direct, perfectly flat?
it's almost flat and there is a house in between, so you are two different drainage areas. Like the drainage on the right-hand side never going to go to the left-hand side. Then
Because
vice
there's
versa.
a hump in the middle,
Because there is a house in the middle, so
the
that
elevation is higher.
yes, so you're not gonna. I mean, the drainage on the right-hand side, on the east side, will keep going to the north, and on the west side will also go to the north. So it's not gonna cross from one side to another.
Got a 1.5 slope pitch from
Yeah,
here.
because the house is at 105, so 104, it's not going to go, can't go around that way. So the only way to get water is coming
Little bit of
this
water
way.
that
I don't
Well,
think,
where's this water going to go?
well, that's right to the wetland.
is the
That's
wetland.
where it goes. That's the street drainage. That's our town pipe, evidently.
More of it. Topo.
Maybe you see something on this side?
You know what I
Maybe a
mean?
few ground shots up front to assure him that water's going to go down that way?
Sure, no problem. I mean,
That's what he's asking for,
again,
more
again,
topo.
the east side, we're not touching anything. We're not changing any
Well,
grading on
we
the
don't
east side.
see it here.
No, I mean, you see
wanna
the-
I want to see the topo all around this. to
There is
see.
a. I mean, we
You
have.
just
the-
gave us a little snapshot of a
This is the whole
90
property.
by 100
But
square.
that's
That's it.
That's all
the
the
whole
land
We
on
don't
the other.
know, we don't know what the,
no.
what
That's
the
the whole.
topo is over here. And that's, okay, so we need to see the topo.
But that
of all-
90 by
of this
100
here.
is the whole property. This is the whole property. The 90 by 100 is the property. This
That's
is-
right. I
and-
want to see the topo of the the land around that property. You just gave us a snapshot of a little square like that. We have no idea what's here.
Okay, so
On the
we know
neighboring
that, we know to the east side of this is basically a hill coming down this way.
Yes.
But to the left side of it, what he's concerned about is that if we get heavy rain and the water can't go to the back of the house and ends up going on these people's property to the west, we're going to end up with phone calls of something we just approved. So if you could give us a little topo on the west side of the property, so we know that this water is going to stay on your property and not go to the west side.
Okay.
And I understand you're not obligated to do things off the site, but you'd be well advised maybe just to get a shot 5 to 10
No,
feet.
no problem. Sure.
Yeah, just enough to show us
No problem.
that
And
it's going to
also-
stay.
Just there is also a berm in the road that will force the water to go in the
Whatever
catch basin.
ground shots you can take to show, to prove that
Yeah.
the drainage is going to go that way.
And then a little bit of detail for the wall, and we're good.
No problem. Sure.
Right? Anybody else have any other questions? Anybody in the audience?
Between the Board of Health and your questions, I think everything's covered.
We're gonna, Bill, you want to make a note? We're gonna continue this to the next meeting?
Sure.
You just get us a updated plan,
No
and we'll
problem.
make it short and sweet the next one.
All right.
Got it.
All right? And so we're gonna get detail for the wall and a couple shots on the eastbound side, I mean westbound
side.
side.
Okay.
Yeah, west, northwest. All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, do you want to have a?
Let's make a motion.
Yeah,
Yep,
motion, please.
make a motion to continue. Somebody want to make,
I'll move to continue this hearing till our next meeting,
when's the next meeting, Bill?
July 15,
July 15th at what, 7:15?
correct.
Sure.
Okay.
There a
Is that
second?
going to adversely impact the homeowner who wants to do the work? Is this something we want to have the chair approve before 4 weeks from now?
I don't think that we should approve anything until we get a good picture of what we're looking at here.
Okay, we're good.
And he still needs Board of Health approval.
Oh, okay.
The Board of Health hasn't even done anything yet.
Is there a question, Mr. Chairman?
I work with, I use Ronald Buchanan, and I just looked at my emails because I remember the Board of Health ended up calling us in early April. I just looked at my phone to see when was that, and they actually made us attend a meeting. It was on Zoom, and I did attend it with them, and they were actually really anxious to get this going. That's why they
We all are supportive of repairing, so yes.
Did they approve it though?
No, we haven't submitted the plan then in April, but they told us, like, I told them all the bunch of variances that we're gonna be requesting, and they told me, just go ahead, just get it to us, we want this fixed.
Because it is a situation that was causing problems to the wetland. And we're with you on that too. But there's just a couple things that Mr. Amandalia would like to see done, and that's it. They're not big things. If we can get that done, we'll be in good shape. Thank you very much.
Was there a second for that motion, please?
I made the motion.
Peter?
Emilio, second.
Emilio seconds.
This is to continue. All in favor?
Peter, aye.
Tim, aye.
Carl Hummel, yes.
Amen, yes. All right. Public hearing, notice of intent for construction of a paved parking area and a rain garden and restoration of a portion of the buffer zone at 47 Milford Street, DEP number 218-0812.
Todd Sullivan from Canterbury Partners. Brian Waterman's going to be remote from Waterman Design.
Yep.
He's going to do the presentation for us.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Mr. Waterman, are you going to be able to present plans from your computer?
I'm going to try to do that. Can you see these plans?
You have to, I can do it if you can't.
Okay, it might be easier then.
All right, go ahead and proceed and I'll work on that.
Okay. So the proposed project is located at 47 Milford Street. It's the former Taylor Rental Building. It's just north of the Mendon Twin Drive-In, located to the east side of Milford Street. The existing property is 4.5 acres. It has a existing high tension power line going through it, as well as a excuse me, Tennessee gas pipeline easement. So it's been, historically altered. The existing building is 7,500 square feet. Oh, there we go. Yeah, if you want to go that existing conditions plan is a good one to start with. So again, there's the existing 7,500 square foot building, which was the former Taylor Rental Building for a long time. It's served by a subsurface infiltration septic system. There, as I mentioned, the existing power company and gas transmission lines cut through the property. There's the wetland system to the north and east of the building, which cuts through the property there. You can see it's labeled wetland. Excuse me. And there is an intermittent stream that flows to the south off the property. Additionally, there's a small isolated wetland finger there in the southwest central portion. Those are the wetland boundaries on site. Those were flagged by Goddard Consulting back in January. I believe they filed a RDA or another version to confirm with the commission. But so the existing site, it has a paved parking area around the existing building. There is also kind of that pad to the right there. I don't know if you have the color one I sent this morning, Bill. Excuse me. But there's historic gravel and stone all around this edge of this paved parking area. And there's no drainage on site right now to handle any of the runoff. It's been that way historically. Part of our proposal is to remove a good chunk of that easterly pavement and stone and gravel and fill that's adjacent to the wetland there. Part of that is within the 25 and 50 foot no build and no disturb zone. So the proposal, and I'll point that out to you on the proposed plan next. But I will just mention that this site was filed for a special permit and site plan with the planning board. And they issued an approval for that back in April of this year for the use on the site. Bill, would you be able to call up the grading and drainage plan? That is sheet C300.
Can you just direct me to where to scroll here? I assume it's back a little ways.
It should be the, let's see. No, I think one more up. It should say C3 down in the right-hand corner. That's it. Good shooting. So you can see the existing site, the existing building. We're not expanding on the existing building. The first 2,500 square feet of the interior there is to be remodeled and used for the marijuana dispensary. And then the remaining 4,600 square feet will be proposed storage or possibly, future manufacturing. So the existing building footprint is to stay exactly the same it is. There's a little reworking of some of the pavement to the west of the building, to the left-hand side that you see there. It's already paved. It'd just be cleaned up, and then there'll be a concrete walkway to access the rear of the building. There's also a proposed security fence around that backside and along the side of the building to close it off for security purposes. The parking striping that you see just to the south of the building, that's just restriping of the existing pavement. We're not expanding that pavement. So that footprint stays the same. We are proposing a short retaining wall just off that edge to protect the adjacent isolated wetland. And also we're putting in between the back edge of the parking and that retaining wall, we're doing a water quality swale. So anything that runs off the parking lot towards that side will be caught, directed into the water quality swale and down to the proposed rain garden. And then any of the sheet flow that comes off the building along that south side will be directed to the rain garden. So the area where you have the rain garden right now is pavement or historic fill and crushed stone. So the limit of work line you see on that to the right hand side of the rain garden, the grading there, that would be the 25-foot no disturb is restored. And then that portion of the 50-foot, which is currently pavement or crushed stone and fill, would become loam and seed. And then the interior portion of that basin itself, from elevation 322 down to 321, would become the rain garden. Excuse me. So we're taking a site and removing pavement and adding infiltration, adding stormwater attenuation for a site that doesn't currently have it, and reducing the amount of impervious. And as part of that function is restoring some of that historically disturbed 25 and 50-foot buffer zone to that easterly wetland. I know there was a question in the earlier meeting about retaining wall. We have a detail for that on the detail sheet, which is sheet, let me get to that. Sheet C401, it's the last sheet in the set. Yeah, there you go. So it's a field stone retaining wall. It's labeled short. It's under 4 feet in height. Excuse me. So it's, you know, it's not a structural engineered wall. It's placed in stones with a batter on the wall, crushed stone footing, and it also has a drain and stone and filter fabric behind it. The detail just to the left of the retaining wall is the rain garden cross section. This outlines the 18 inches of permeable soil mixture that matches, you know, which is described. It's 60% typically of a sandier soil so that it drains, and then it's underlined by a 9-inch thick crushed stone. We had our soil evaluator do a test pit in the middle of the rain garden, which, you know, was in where pavement was. He found buried tires and fill to 48 inches. And then there was, let's see. So buried tires and fill to 48 inches, to 46 inches, excuse me. Then from 46 to 68 inches was a layer of nice clean sand. And then from 68 inches to 116 inches were the parent materials, which were a loamy sand. So as part of the construction of the rain garden, the existing contour elevation there is 324. The finished grade would be 321. So be cutting down, taking out that 3 feet, excuse me, of the pavement and fill and stone and tires. And then once that's out, you'd be removing the other 27 inches to place the good soil and stone for the rain garden. And once you do that, that gets you back down to the sand and the parent material. So the rain garden will be constructed once all that fill and pavement is out of the way. The rain garden would be constructed over the parent material, the good parent material, which is underlies the fill. So there's no work within a resource area. We are partially within, obviously, the 25 and 50, which, you know, the site was developed, I think, well, prior to the regulation. So some of that is just a byproduct, but again, we're not expanding roof area. We're removing impervious area and adding stormwater attenuation and infiltration for a site that doesn't currently have any. There'll be an erosion control barrier around the entire work zone, which consists of a staked and entrenched silt fence with a supporting 6 to 12-inch straw wattle. I think that about covers the project. I'll turn it over to you for any questions or.
Just a general statement. I'm a strong proponent of rain gardens, so I'm loving to hear that. But to me, this doesn't really, I wouldn't call it a rain garden. I would call it a planted retention pond. You have to, I am assuming, obliged to improve stormwater to the best abilities, even though it's an existing. I imagine I would hope that you've got to do something. So you're doing the good thing, right? So then the only question is what water is going to get into that detention pond. the grade, the runoff from Route 16 onto the driveway, the rain on the roof into the gutter. You tell me. I'm sure you've done the engineering or something to say how much gallon or what the flow is going to be, and that's what generates the size of your detention pond. So
Well,
can you?
Yeah, it's actually not a detention pond. It's not detaining water. It's planted with all those species.
Well,
excuse me,
educate.
that are-
There's tension or retention, right? And aren't you obliged to build retention so that the rate of water coming off? I don't know. But detention isn't known for getting the water into the ground. Because you have good soils, you're doing the good thing by recharging. So,
Right.
supportive
I mean,
of it. I just
under
wouldn't-
D,
That's,
Okay, we'll call it whatever you want.
well, there you go. Because really what I'd like to see is rain garden elsewhere that minimizes the water, and if you have good soils to get, but I don't know, you don't have a big site, but yes. So just assure me, or tell me what water is going to get into the rain garden. Where's it coming from?
right, it's essentially just that parking lot, that side from the southerly side of the building. As it sheet flows, it's all kind of pitched down to the southeast corner. So anything that runs off, because there's no curb there, they're just curb stops, it will be caught in that grass channel we're doing off the edge of the parking and the retaining wall. And that grass channel, if you flip back to the grading and drainage plan, is pitched down to the rain garden.
Okay, so the lot
it
sits
takes-
below Route 16, doesn't it?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The lot is below Route 16.
Correct.
So does current runoff from Route 16 come down your driveway? Where does it, and then it would get shunted off to the side into either the wetland that's there, or you're going to be creating a swale that goes along the wall and then going into the rain gardens. So my simple question is runoff from Route 16 going to end up, I'd love it, but I just want to make sure that you've accounted for all the water. So my question is there any water coming from off-site onto your land from Route 16?
There is a small area, of Route 16. The way where the driveway goes up, it slopes from elevation 330 to 328. So a small portion of that comes in, but it goes across the curb, the driveway entrance. Yeah, if you can move your cursor down to where the driveway entrance is, there are two contours there. That already sheet flows across that driveway entrance down towards the vegetated area and towards that wetland finger. So that drainage divide is not changed. That's staying the same. So that part goes where it always has. And what we're picking up is the portion of the paved driveway or the paved parking now that just typically sheet flows off towards that isolated wetland. So now that will be directed to the grass swale between off the edge of the parking. That's why he starts the wall and the water quality swale where he has it. That's where the drainage divide, the small area that comes off Route 16 sheet flows across the southerly edge of the driveway towards the septic system, if you will. And then the rest of the parking lot sheet flows to the southeast towards that isolated wetland, or the small area that where the rain garden is, that just sheet flows off down towards into the easement and towards that southerly wetland. So to answer your question, the small area that comes in off of Route 16 goes across the driveway as it does now. And then everything else that's historically been untreated will now be directed through the parking spaces. Those are just curb stops, sheet flow into the water quality swale, and that is directed and pitched down into the rain garden. So we're only putting that portion of the parking lot into the rain garden. Yes, that was sized based on the flow rate, he does have a riser outlet control. So during a 100-year storm, that would just charge out to that riprap spill channel. The stormwater design was submitted as part of the planning board submittal, and that was peer reviewed by their peer review engineer, Graves Engineering, who had some minor comments on the stormwater, and we made those adjustments, and they approved that as part of the special permit and site plan. So I believe we did submit the stormwater calculations and things with the notice of intent. But again, all that was addressed under the initial filing for site plan approval because it was peer reviewed by their engineer, Graves Engineering. So as part of that approval, they approved the stormwater design and system.
In fact, just one final question. The roof.
Sure.
It's an existing roof, but where does the runoff from the roof go to? Just to the parking lot and then it'll go, there's no gutters or downspouts or?
No, I believe everything is just a sheet flow off the roof.
That's the next question I was gonna ask.
I'm sorry, I'm done.
Oh, you're good. I don't see any, so there's no gutters at all. Where does which way is the roof pitched? To the back of, like, to the easterly side?
Or sideways. Is it flat roof or it's a?
It's pitched to the parking lot.
It's pitched to the parking lot?
Where does the roof water wind up?
Same place
The
as
roof-
the driveway.
So it runs off in front of all the overhead doors and just comes down onto the ground?
We've not seen an issue with accumulation of water so far. I mean, we kind of look at this as just improving the property and being aligned with updated codes, but.
So there's no gutter along the parking lot side of the building now?
I don't think there
There's
is.
not an existing one, no.
No.
So it typically would sheet.
We're happy to add one.
That? Any other questions?
Yes, this is Carl Hummel. I have a question. This is the first time in my being on the commission that someone is actually removing pavement from something within the 100-foot zone. So my question is, are there any special considerations that need to be taken when you're ripping up the asphalt to make sure the dirt underneath it doesn't go down into the wetlands?
Well, we've accounted for that with the staked and entrenched silt fence with a 8 to 12 inch core log defining the limit of work. And that area where we're removing the pavement is really flat. There's not a large slope right there until you get to the back side of it. And the erosion control barrier will be staked and entrenched above that slope.
And how many weeks or months do you expect it to be until the pavement's removed, until there's the ground cover that you expect to have in the final state?
I'm not sure when they plan to do construction. I would imagine it's as soon as they can get all the permits. So let's say we started construction by, Todd, you can jump in here, by say mid-July or maybe sooner, I'm not sure.
The building permit, so we're just waiting for that to be issued. So as soon as possible.
Be immediately as soon as we issue the building permit.
You're gonna get in there and get everything done, so hopefully you can get some grass planted
Yep.
by spring anyway, right?
Yeah.
Right.
We're ready to go. The second the permit's issued, we're ready to go.
Right.
Great. No further questions. Thank you.
I see there was somebody else, Bob?
How close is the perennial stream to the rain garden that you're proposing?
Brian?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
The perennial stream that's on the property, what is it, the southeast corner? How close is that to your rain garden? Will that be close to the rain garden?
I said it's within 50 to 25 feet is gonna be disturbed. They can't disturb anything closer than 25 feet.
Right, and it's actually an intermittent stream, but the rain garden itself is where the location, the rain garden is, the back edge of the grading is 25 feet. The rain garden itself is about 50 feet. So from the actual intermittent stream that runs through that wetland, we're about 100 feet.
Thank you. This is gonna be a swale?
Yeah, just educate me. So the swale that you're going to create alongside the wall to carry the water from the parking lot down to the rain garden, to me, it's not a swale. You call it a CPE trench. That's new. So it's a trench that can hold the water. My concern is, what is the maintenance? If it was a grass swale, you know, what's the grade? It's going to be mowed. How do you maintain a CPE trench? And what is the surface? Is it stone? Is it grass? Is it?
No, it's labeled as a grass channel. It's just going to be a depression in the ground. It has a about a 1% slope.
So what's the detail? I see a detail for a CPE trench section.
Let me go to that. That might be for something else.
Grass swale, how wide and how deep? It doesn't really show up on the topo. It's so narrow.
Existing pavement.
Oh, that CP trench section, that's for the outlet pipe from the outlet control structure.
Okay.
That's not for this trench. The trench is, the grass swale between the edge of the parking and the retaining wall is about 4 feet wide.
You're going to have a trench that's 4 feet wide, and how deep?
You're not showing a detail on it.
I guess my concern is, what's the slope on that? Is it a fat, shallow trench with relatively shallow grades, or
Yes,
to get to 4 feet?
Oh yeah, it's probably only, 8 inches deep. It's more like a parabola, and it's pitched at almost 1%. So it just picks up that water and directs it down towards the rain garden.
Very shallow.
Yes.
Well, I'd like to see some kind of detail on it.
Okay. Oh, we could get something of that done. Get some detail on the slope of the swale.
Right, new detail on the slope of the swale.
Yeah, this.
Yeah, he's got grades shown on there with the pitch arrows showing 0.8%. So it's just under 1% slope. You can see it between the wall and the parking with the flow arrows. And then it's directed towards the grading for the rain garden.
The detail. See a grassy slope, I'd like to see a detail, a section.
You got something you can put in the sections like you have for the retaining wall, you have for everything else in here, you have it for the rain garden. It's something you can send them.
Yeah, we can provide a swale detail, sure.
Cross section.
Yeah, just a cross section of,
Yep.
basically like you have in here. I know that a lot of these are standard, but if we have something that we know that we can go by.
So we know.
Yeah, right.
We'll see the little swale.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Side view of it.
Yeah, we could basically do a cross section through the wall and the parking showing the swale itself.
Yeah, if you could send us something like that over here, that at least we know what you're doing.
Sure.
It'll probably help the contractor a lot too.
Right.
Yep, we can do that.
Anybody else, any questions?
Anyone in the audience?
Good.
Maybe continue just for that.
Are there any butters here?
You get that over to us, or?
Yeah, let's see, let's continue.
Right.
All right, I will move to continue this to our next hearing, if you can just get us those details. I don't think there are a whole lot of other issues, but just
if we get everything that they're asking for to us, you know, we should, the
Sure.
next meeting would be good to go.
Can we just confirm, is this the last outstanding items?
Those are the last outstanding items on conservation's end.
Is it possible to approve it pending the delivery of those items?
I'm in favor of that.
Detail of the wall,
Swale, you mean, the swale.
detail of the wall. in there, too.
Yeah, but they have the details of the wall. Just the only thing we're looking for is
The
the swale.
detail of that swale.
Yeah.
Because see, it's different. Here, they're showing it different here and different there. This transition here, I'd like to see what the grade's gonna look like, right there.
I'd like to keep it open just because I might want to go out there and there might be a question that pops up. And I know that's not really fair, but this is really the first time we've kind of gotten away from doing this is a pretty significant project in town and it's highly visible. So
It's definitely a high profile, and we want to make sure all our ducks are in a row, all the Ts are crossed, and Is.
Do you have, are you opposed to somebody coming on site, maybe meeting with you, and you could explain to them?
We're happy to meet with anyone, anytime,
Yeah,
any
that way
place.
there, if he has any questions, you can actually see it
Yeah.
and maybe make things a little bit easier to,
If you want to submit requirements for those two things for us, we're happy to respond to those and build them to suit. We just want to get this project going as fast as possible.
I hear you, and
January.
I think it'll be settled at our next hearing, so I don't.
And I don't think we should make them,
next hearing, so.
I don't think we should make them wait 4 weeks. I think we should either come up with a way to do it in an interim basis or schedule another meeting in 2 weeks for this and any other actions that come up in 2 weeks.
COVID on top of a lot of other delays, which I won't get into details, this project has been significantly delayed. So my question to the town is, what's the significance of this? Is it huge? Because we would love to see an approval pending that. We're happy to be completely transparent with the town. I don't want to get into all the negatives about why this has been delayed, but there's been a lot of crazy delays.
All right, so our next meeting is July 15th. Get you on there, we'll get you done, get you over with. Just bring, if you can send an email, if you can have your engineer, design engineer, send an email of what it's gonna look like, that swale's gonna look like. That is a big situation there. I mean, I know it doesn't look big on the plan.
So what's the significance of it? I'm just trying to understand it.
Because if it's not designed right, and all this water, it could end up going where you want it to go one way, but he wants to see it. That's what he does for a living. He knows what he's talking about. So if he wants to see something to make sure that everything's done the right way, I think that's.
We're 100% okay. We want to do it the way the town wants to do it, and we want to do it the right way. My question is there any reason why we can't get this approved pending that? Because we're happy to get that resolved. We just don't want to come back to another meeting, satisfy that, and then we've got another issue, and this continues to get delayed.
Okay,
I'm sure your intentions are honorable and great, but I've sat on this board for 30 years. Here's a typical example. We trusted somebody to do something, and 28 years later, it comes up and bites us in the rear end. So you should be saying, okay, I will show you that we're honorable men and our word is our word. That's all. That's all we're doing. And as the chairman said, we'll schedule a meeting in 2 weeks, and if you get it done, it should be a simple matter. Get it done, and you're off and running.
And I guess I would also say, if time was of such an effort, why'd you leave the Concom to the last? Because it always happens. You go get the boarding health, or the developer gets the easiest ones first, whether it's the Board of Health, Planning Board, ZBA, and it usually comes to us at last. And if we have an issue with drainage because the town engineer reviewed it, but he didn't, yeah, it's in there, but I don't think he asks questions from a conservation perspective. That's not your issue. That's my issue with how our town does it. But it is not so inordinate that we would take 2 meetings to approve a meeting. And it's not, I think, out of the ordinary to, upon first seeing it, to want to maybe go out and check so this is really, I could have beforehand, I'm sure you sent this in a long time, but I'm sorry, I don't think there's going to be an issue, but I don't want to, you want to foreclose, oh, I might go out there and see something. It might be new information. And you're going to say, oh, wow, well, why did you say that? I say, oh, because I wasn't out there.
This is the situation here. We need to see a couple things. I mean, if you wanted to point the finger at somebody, you could have said, well, how come my engineer didn't add that in here? He added everything else in here, but there was one thing missing that he's looking for because it's a big part of the plan. So if we could put that on there or get an email that we can attach to this plan, July 15th, we don't have any other issues, right? There's no other issues with the board?
Like I said,
You walk in,
I'd be happy with if we could just get that in an email, that there's no other issues. If you're not open to an approval now, that's fine.
well, you don't even have to come. We'll approve it as long as we have everything that he
Music to
took
my
care
ears.
of.
So what date is the meeting in 2 weeks?
July 15th, Bill?
He said 2 weeks, that's,
No, Carl was suggesting that we schedule a special
Oh,
meeting to
sorry.
satisfy you guys.
Okay.
And that's where.
I just want to make sure we have our stuff ready in time if it's in 2 weeks.
I don't care.
Well, if you can wait till July 15th, you don't have to even attend the meeting. Just make sure that our admin has everything that we asked for.
And if there's an issue that I go and see it, I promise you I will send you an email as soon as I get it. And I'll.
Well, why
I'll
don't you,
go out.
if they're gonna go see something,
We'll meet
maybe,
you there.
maybe you should meet him so that if there's something that you see, that he can take care of it that day.
I'm not assuming that there is.
No, right, but I'm just saying, if there is,
We'll have
Yeah.
to
I'll
meet you
give you a
there.
call.
then we have that, you have that little bit of time. I mean,
Sure.
we're not gonna give you a hard time, believe me. I don't want you to think-
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Ed?
yeah, we'll definitely get you the detail, probably by Monday.
Okay.
And if you'd like to walk the site, I'd be happy to meet you there. And walk it with you. No problem. And I can do that anytime next week if you'd like.
If you can get a phone number,
Hey, get it to. Bill.
I'll get your phone number to Bill and I'll get it to Peter and he'll meet up with you next week. And you guys can, just take a quick walk and make sure, if he's happy with it, I'm sure everybody else on the board will be.
Yeah, Bill has my number in my email, so
Okay, I'll have him get it over to Peter.
that'd be great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman? There's a motion on the table with no second.
Yep.
With no second?
No, because we got to continue this to,
So who's the second? I made the motion. Mike seconded.
Mike seconded.
Peter says aye.
Mike says,
Carl Hummel, yes.
Yes.
Tim?
Tim says aye.
Aim and I. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Good night.
Notice of intent for installation of a valve regulator facility at the head of Algonquin Gas Transmission's G-System pipeline situated near 2 Thayer Road. Everybody here for that?
Yes, Dennis Blay. Can you hear me all right?
Hey, good. How are you?
Yes, we can see you too.
Good. Yes, we're here for this project. So my name is Dennis Blay. I work with SWCA Environmental Consultants, and we're up in Scarborough, Maine. And we've been helping Algonquin do some of their projects out here. This particular project, should I share my screen or something to look at this plan or?
If you can quickly, yes, I think it's probably
You're
easier.
welcome to do that, or I'll do it for you.
We're gonna do it no matter what. Bob, you're already done.
You do it, and at least you can use your cursor. There you go. You're all set.
You see that?
Uh-huh.
So this is Algonquin Gas Transmission. It's right off of Thayer Road here. This entire area is a large fenced-in valve site, and there's 4 main pipelines. We get the Algonquin Gas, the 24-inch main line, and there's also the 30-inch loop line that parallels all the way through here. And then coming off of these is the G system. So we've got the 20-inch G1L, which is the loop, and then the original G1 pipeline, the 16-inch. Both of these come off these 2 particular pipelines. This particular project right now, the G system here provides gas, natural gas, for pretty much all of southeastern Massachusetts out into Cape Cod as well. And right now, gas flow, you get these larger diameter pipelines, is not regulated to enter the G system. There's no regulation there. And so the intent for this project is to install a new pressure regulator and associated piping in underground facilities, so that when they transfer gas from these large diameter pipelines into these smaller diameter pipelines, it can be regulated and down pressured to the operating pressure for the smaller line. Right now, without the regulation capability at the site, the only way to handle that is to manipulate gas pressures on the main line and the loop. And that originates out of the Burrillville compressor station in eastern Rhode Island, which is pretty far away. And the result of that affects just gas flow in general across the entire system in New England, and especially on the G system. And you can't provide the necessary quantities of gas to local distribution center, facilities and other things. So the project here is to install this regulator system. And so there's 2 points of access. One's going to be off of Thayer Road along the pipeline right away. And there's an existing dirt road there that's going to be used to access this site. This entire facility is fenced in. There's all kinds of stuff like valves and launcher and receiver barrels to run internal tools. And so to access sort of the northern end of the project site, they got to come in off of Thayer Road down the pipeline right away. And then from the southern end, they're going to come in off of this existing access road, which is owned by Eversource, the power line. That there's a large electric transmission power line that parallels the gas pipeline as well. And so the workspace, as they call it, is outlined in this dark dashed line. This entire area is not going to be disturbed. A lot of it is just space to be able to work around things. And so this
How
dark.
deep excavation is this going to be? This pipe above ground or in the ground?
All the new pipe will be both, some above ground, some below ground.
How deep is the excavation going to be?
Depends on the depth of the pipelines, and
You don't know how deep that pipeline is?
right off the top of my head, typically it's 3 foot. I know they did some.
The first thing I'd like to mention is I don't see a detail of it, a cut section of it, and that would have told me how deep an excavation. And the next thing I don't see is I really don't see it's hard to tell what the limit of excavation is going to be around where you're digging here. So I'd like a little more clarity in that.
So I think I just heard Scott Keith. He's with the construction team, maybe chiming in. Was that you, Scott?
Yeah, it is. So Scott Keith with Enbridge, Algonquin Gas. We do have some pipes deeper than 3 feet. They're 4, 5, and 6 feet deep, and the excavations altogether, all around all those, would be at least that deep, probably a little bit deeper to expose the bottoms of those pipes so that we can fully inspect all the way around them and conduct that work. Typical ditch excavations there, 10 feet in width, and then the full length, probably a little more, 20 feet or so in length along each of the pipelines for a rough estimate there.
I'd like to see a detail of that. I just thumbed through the book that you sent in, and you have some generic details, but nothing that looks like pertains to what you're actually gonna do there.
Okay.
I'd like to see a cut section of it. You know what I mean? Like I said, he's got some pretty nice details in here, but it's all generic. I want to see just what for that area, because the wetland is just.
We could certainly provide that. And so it may be hard to distinguish on this plan, but the sort of the lighter gray piping is what's there. And then the bolder lined piping is what's new, what is proposed. So the primary regulation stuff is going to go here. And then it's going to connect down and connect to both the G1 and the G1L pipelines. And obviously we're the Conservation Commission. So there is a wetland area that was identified and delineated in the field to the south. It's denoted by flags 1 through 8 here. And the 100-foot buffer zone is here. So a very small portion of the work is going to encroach into the 100-foot buffer zone. Sorry about that. Which basically is going to entail tying in these subgrade, subsurface connecting pipes.
Where's their siltation?
So the new work, it's within the 100-foot buffer. Is that above ground or below ground?
This is going to be below ground. Is that right, Scott?
There is new piping on the G1, G1L that will be above ground.
I'm wrong about that.
In the buffer zone here?
I apologize. I can't. I'm only on my phone. I'm dialed in. I'm not seeing it, Dennis.
The very southernmost part of the new piping, the part that's in black, there's a small amount that is within the 100-foot buffer. So my question is that going to be above or below ground within the 100-foot area?
Dennis, I do believe that piping there is above ground. We come up straight up from the G1 above ground. That's how the tie-ins go, Dennis.
What is that?
So it sounds like it's going to be above ground.
Yeah, that's something that you could tell very easily from the sidewalk if it's flagged already.
Where is your siltation control?
It's down here. It's a very faint line type. Let me zoom in a little bit. It's this circle line type here.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I see it now.
It's going to consist of a 18-inch sediment filter log or fiber log or whatever you decide to call it. But that's the idea there. And then there's also some more proposed up around here. Around this is this square here is basically where the
I got it. Yeah, I see.
Primary regulation piping is going to be, and a new building.
Gotcha.
And this will all be fenced in and connected to the existing fence line of this entire area. And I do have some.
You know the excavation of the water table there, where you're going to be excavating?
Do we know the depth of the water table?
Yeah, Dennis, just so you know, we did some investigative digs on our right-of-way there and we did not encounter water down to our pipeline. So, the areas, the southernmost areas would probably be the highest water table.
Did you dig a test bed? Did you dig a test bed to verify that?
No.
And when did you dig it? What time of the year?
Spring time. It was this year.
March.
I'd have to, I think it was March.
Yeah, this whole area is generally fairly high and dry. I mean, except for the wetland. It's elevated in itself. It's the wetland that's shown on the plan is the only one that's nearby. There's nothing else in the vicinity of the work.
I have another question. In your packet, there's a letter from Mass Fisheries and Wildlife, and it looks like turtle habitat is an issue. Is that something that's going to be? Is that an actual issue for this particular site? Are you going to have to do something with the fencing to keep from disturbing turtle nesting?
Yes. So you may know this entire area is within priority habitat for the eastern box turtle and Algonquin, and we have an approved operation and maintenance plan with the Natural
Right.
Heritage Program. So we filed through them a turtle protection plan, which is approved, and we've already implemented it once because we had to go out, as Scott was explaining, to do some exploratory soft digs to locate pipe and depths and welds and all of that stuff to design this. So we had a biologist, a qualified turtle biologist that was out there for the duration, well, every day to do sweeps. For the actual this work, it's going to be a little bit more involved. We'll have a daily sweep by a biologist and then exclusion fencing of some sort. And that'll be determined at a later date where that's going to go. Exactly.
Yep. Okay. So you are working closely with them on that.
Yes, we are.
All right, so you want to see
Well,
a little detail, or you got you finding it? Any other questions from the audience?
Has any turtles been observed?
Not the last time around. And she, the woman that was out there, she loves her job, and she did her darndest to try to find one. And it was not successful. The whole idea, obviously, finding one is a great tool, teaching tool for the crews that were out there, but no, she was not successful.
Well, the northern red-bellied cuda is a very elusive turtle.
Well, ours is the eastern box turtle, which is a terrestrial turtle, but they're pretty tough to find. You kind of just come across them unless you know of a population where that's where they are. And this, again, this site here, it's the very edge of a priority / estimated habitat. So it could be that it's not in the core area of where the box turtle really hang out, but they could very well wander out this way. We just didn't see any the last time.
Will you be, in the case you do hit groundwater, again, like I said, we don't really know how, what elevation that pipe is at. In the event that you do hit groundwater and you have pumping, will you have the necessary equipment on hand to
Water to say?
Well, yeah, basically, you can't be cutting in the pipe and making those connections.
We certainly will. And part of our plans that were submitted is we have this filter bag detail, and this is what's typically used for any kind of trench dewatering, and it really knocks down the fines and any kind of sediments. You know, typically.
I see it in your details, and like I said, that's why I asked the question, because this is a boilerplate detail book, and I just wanted to hear it from you, so that we have it in the minutes that you will have the necessary dewater equipment on hand.
And this is Scott speaking again, and I can tell you, we're still negotiating with our contractor, but those are definite line items that are already in our agreement. The pumps and the hoses and the filter bags, along with straw bales, will be readily available on site.
So when I come out, or Peter goes out, when you guys start, you let us know that you're gonna start the excavation. And one of us go out there and happens to say, oh, by the way, I'd like to see the water and stuff that you have on hand. You'll be able to pull me over to an area where it's all stored, ready to go?
Yes, yes, we will.
All right, any other questions? Make a motion, Lou?
I'll make a motion to approve subject getting that detailed trench cut. You still want it?
Oh, yeah, I want to know where the pipe is, but, you know, let's get a cut sheet here. I'm not gonna give anybody permission to go, I'm just gonna go out and start digging. The pipe's there. Yeah, we know the pipe's there, but
When are you looking to start this project?
I think it was end of this month. Is that right, Scott?
No, it's mid-July, towards the end of July.
So if you get us that detail sheet that he wants, that Mike wants.
Yeah.
We'll, the next meeting, we can approve.
What on?
Yes, Dennis, that shouldn't be a problem for us. Like, the information we got back in March is in our design firm's hands, so it should be easy.
All right, yes, so July 15th, want to make a motion, we'll continue this to July 15th.
I'll make a motion to continue this until July 15th. Yes.
I'll second.
Emilio, second. Bill, all in favor?
Aye.
Mike, aye.
Peter, aye.
Carl Hummel, yes.
Emilio, aye.
So just so I'm clear, you're looking for a plan and profile sheet showing the pipe and then a profile.
That's gonna show us some elevations.
A plan and cross section, cross section showing depth and that sort of thing.
I believe you should have that on file. I mean, they're telling me you got a 30-inch main in there, gas main in there, high, I believe it's high pressure.
Yes, they are.
Okay, so I would think that you should be able to lay your fingertips on that pretty quick.
So you want the 24-inch main line, the 30-inch line, and then the two G1 and G1 outlines. You want each of those in depths?
Going to be digging. And if there's going to be an emergency dewatering situation, where you would be dewatering to? Are you going to, build a temporary detention basin that you're going to, pump into so that it doesn't send silt into the wetland? Or, those two items, I think, would keep everybody happy here and move your job along quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we can predict where we would hit water, seeing as we didn't really hit any back in March when the snow was just melted in very, very wet conditions. But in the event that they do, it'd be we'd use a filter bag or else, a straw bale corral and put the filter bag inside, and that would be placed in a well-vegetated upland location, probably up on the right-of-way somewhere. In a vegetated area in the right of way. If they hit water here for some reason, or if they hit it here, they could probably run some hoses up to, up into an upland vegetated area. That's usually how we do that, a well-vegetated upland area.
You give us some sort of outline so that it shows us that, again, you'll be prepared for the worst case scenario. I'm sure you're going to be prepared for the worst case scenario when clean around that pipe and you make the cut. You know what I mean? You're going to have that well thought out. Well, again, if some water, we don't want the contractor wondering what he's going to do and just pump it right out, et cetera, et cetera. That's all.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. So continue to the next meeting, and we need to provide you with these details we just discussed.
July 15th.
And then just submit this material to Bill.
You can submit that to him as soon as possible, and then we'll just should be able to get this done fairly quickly at the next meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Discuss the fish kill at Lake Nipmuc with residents.
Do we have residents here?
Oh, we got some.
Want to talk about that?
We got them all. So what do we got? I do know that there was some dead fish down in the cove. Are we seeing more?
It sounded like the ESS told the other people that were doing and they sent us a report, and that, I forget the term, it's spawning damage. So they were saying it wasn't a lack of dissolved oxygen, which is usually the cause for big fish kills. That when fish spawn, which is supposedly this time of year, they come in and try to make their nests, and that gives them abrasions, which is where bacteria gets in. So there's a scientific term for it, spawning kills, which will be several fish maybe do that, and then they float. And then, so that was their best guess as to what caused that kill. So that's all we know. But
I thought that I read that it was because of the big temperature differential that we went from 90 to 95 degree weather for 3 days to 60 degrees overnight, and that changed the oxygen content, and the fish didn't notice it until they were dead.
You noticed it when they were dead?
That was my, well, they were still hanging around someplace until they used up all the oxygen and then died suddenly.
they got in too shallow and they couldn't get out, or they just got surprised?
They got surprised because of the big temperature changed the oxygen concentration in the water. That was my reading of what we heard from Solstice. I'm not Solstice, the other lake people.
It did say, I did read that they said that there was not a lack of oxygen in the water that for wildlife to live.
Right, and maybe, but they only test one spot of the lake. But if they're not testing the real shallow areas, so both could be right.
Okay, so let's ask the people that live there. Have they been consistently dying?
What we found was basically 2 weeks they treated the lake.
Yeah.
The algae content was real high in the cove off of Old Tap. We didn't see too much weed, but a lot of algae, green algae. Jenny and I, on Old Tap Dam.
Mike. Nobody on the thing can hear you. Right?
Don't sing though. Just talk.
So anyway, we started cleaning up. The stench on that side was terrible in that cove.
20, 30 fish, 50 fish?
Talk probably 150 fish at least. And it wasn't only bluegills and sunfish, kivas. It was bigmouth bass. It was smallmouth bass and catfish, which can survive in low content oxygen. So something was killing the catfish. We picked up, well, I have a trailer hooked up onto a tractor, and I took 3 loads of algae and dead fish, plus Jenny had a little wagon that she was pulling them out. Quite a few. And they were just floating right over onto shore.
Since the weed control has been done, have you seen any?
It's deceased right now. Right now, we're not getting any fish that are dying right now. Probably right after I was still picking up fish, probably maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 fish. That's about it.
Nobody's seeing any dead fish right now?
I went out there and raked the other day, and I didn't have any dead fish.
Anybody else around the?
I had one random one the other day, but.
But were you over on your side? Were you seeing any large amounts?
Considerably more than years past.
But like not hundreds though, right?
Right, no, it's very close towards.
And close to every property, but they get the wind, so they got.
Everything goes down in the cove, right? Yep.
Usually 1 or 2, and it was 10, and then he says like 50. That was when it was clearly.
Yeah. Anybody else other than no fish?
They all died.
Anybody catching fish, or are they all gone?
We had a bunch of kids out there Sunday, and they were off the dock from the yacht club, and they were catching fish.
Okay, so there's still something to catch.
Yeah, there was a few bass that they were catching, and it's, a lot of the kidders was still being pulled in from the kids.
Like, maybe it was just kind of a.
It was unusual,
Yeah.
that many, I've never seen that many fish come in.
report it to the,
That's why I'm getting confused, because the report we got from ESS told this other company about it had, and that report, they were kind of minimizing it, but I'm not sure anyone spread the word to DEP or gave a message, but there's a hand up in the back.
I called the Fish and Game of Massachusetts, and they told me that they've had many reports of lakes in the area that have had the same problem. He felt that it was probably due to spawning time of fish. They're all under stress, plus the heat wave. They blamed it really on the heat wave, that the lake warmed up too quickly when the fish were spawning.
Sounds about right. And to have so many different species of fish that were involved in it, like you said, the catfish can live under any condition. Well, let's.
He advised us to wait and see, and it should correct itself. Hopefully, this will be true. That's just what he said.
But we're seeing less and less, so I guess if maybe we could just get a input from residents that live on the lake, here and there, if they do see something out of the ordinary again, and we can get somebody, contact somebody about it.
And thank you for cleaning up the algae, because that's just getting the stuff out that's going to be stealing away the oxygen, right?
It's awful. It's slowed down now because the weed killer that they did put in killed a lot of it, but it's all drifting over to the.
You catch it all. The wind blows it right.
The other end of the run there.
I have one other question. I noticed an incident that happened, and we mentioned to some people. They had sprayed, across the street from Old Taft Ave, Kevin Meehan put all that stone on that banking.
You're talking up on Route 16?
Route 16, across the street from Old Taft Ave.
Yep.
Before he put that down, he put plastic to retain, to hold the weeds and stuff down, I believe. And then put all the stone on top of it, which is, well, he dressed it up. So now, some of the weeds are coming through. I was coming home on a Friday, and they're spraying the stone with weed killer. Kill all the vegetation that's coming up through the stone. Now, I was concerned with it because now there's plastic underneath. When it rains, hits the plastic, runs down the plastic because they overlapped it all the way up to the top. All that weed killer now is going into the storm drains on 16, which all dump into the lake right there. Oh, I was wondering I just wanted to mention it, that was seen. I didn't take a picture of it. I probably should have.
They can go there and see the foliage. It's all dying now.
It's all dying that's coming up through the rock.
Oh, so then comes the question, I don't know what the defoliant was. Can a homeowner spray Roundup to kill weeds growing up?
Yep.
Yes, right? And then it's up to us to prove that that has gotten away and is carried down and gone in. And depending on the spray, they'll say, oh, it breaks down within X amount of time. So we don't have much experience with it. It is a concern.
I would imagine that you probably, if we checked every house, a lot of the houses around the lake, I would imagine that there is some people that are probably using
Spraying
Roundup
I
to
imagine.
kill the weeds along the beach, along.
But this was a heavy concentrate that they actually, with a truck.
It was a
and
commercial
and
operation.
Probably like a Chem-Lawn or something that everybody.
And they
people
sprayed
use.
pretty heavy
Did they,
on the rocks
How long ago was that?
That's Friday.
last Friday.
So it was after the fish died?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes,
All right.
Can't blame it
after
on
the
that.
fish died,
Okay,
not
good.
before. I was just concerned with the weed killer that they did put that would go into the lake and it might do damage.
Yeah.
That's because they did spray it heavy.
The only thing I can suggest might be a Board of Health issue. Like after a heavy rain, I mean, not just a little sprinkle, but a good downpour that
We did have some heavy rain after that.
you did.
Oh, yeah, it rained all.
Oh, so it was right before this.
It was on last Friday, not tomorrow, last Friday.
I would think that maybe we test the water and at the, find some of them outlet pipes.
That's the only way you can really get it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you could test that area right there where that outflow is and see if there's anything
Right
going
behind the
on.
old
But I
boat
mean,
shop.
whose jurisdiction would that come under?
Well, I mean, it's,
Board of Health?
And was there anything, another question I have, was there anything that came about from that sand? I believe, I think it was you, Damon, that you came over and inspected that sand that had come from that drain last year or the year before?
oh, we had John Fernandez there, it was a few
Yeah.
years back. Yeah,
Okay. And you said that it comes from the road, Route 16? Well, Route 16 hasn't used sand on those roads for 10 years. So
they
that
still have
sand-
catch basins that have dirt in them though.
So that sand didn't come from Route 16, all that sand.
Right.
That sand came from that hill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah,
because
we knew that there was some situations come with, that's why they had to fix the drainage up there, because the pipe was clogged.
Well, that pipe, that was after they took the, without the. built the
DEP's
the
working,
retainer.
the
Right.
DEP's working very closely with them.
I know.
Actually, they had a fine for $19,000, which is paying for this whole thing
I
to
understand.
take care of the lake.
Okay.
So they got their hands slapped, but they are fixing things up.
The only opportunity is to do the testing. We're
Right.
not going to do it, but if we got this firm out there, I know that the budget's already been sent, but hey, if they could focus maybe just on that one, and then it's going to cost some money because you can't just, you got to test for a screen. So that might be an opportunity. And who's in charge of that contract? The Board of Health, us?
Bill, who's spearheading that whole project?
The supplemental environmental project, the SEP?
Yep.
I'm not sure how to answer that. I think it's sort of like a fait accompli. It's, no, you know what I mean? No, but, it's a contract they're just executing. It's been paid for by, the applicant there.
Okay, so we can get in contact with them and maybe have them, as part of their testing, maybe work a little closer to that drainage area.
I have the name here of Matt Ledwick. He's in,
Right.
have you got that, Bill?
Oh, yeah. Carl's been in touch. Carl's been, meeting with those folks, as you know.
We'll see if we can get them to get over there and do some testing at the outlet near your house.
I've already sent him the outlet there that comes into the lake by the yacht club because he didn't realize where it was, and that's where we have the E. coli high.
Yeah,
So he has a picture of it.
okay. I mean, they don't, the state doesn't clean the catch basins along Route 16 as much as they should. We've fought with them for 2 years to try to get them to either put deeper sumps or to clean them more often. I mean, they jetted that pipe, they jetted the pipe down by Alicante, but it was probably, we had to get state reps involved to get it done, so there's a lot of problems, not just at that particular catch basin. There's a lot of problems down further too. It comes all the way down that hill. It comes down the hill from that property before it was, when it was left unattended, before he had even owned it, it was a mess. So everybody's trying to work to get it a little better here and there. And the lake's getting a little extra special treatment for the bad decisions applicants made.
So here's my question. Are we going to have a motion to authorize our budget to pay money to the company to do a round of water testing in this location for this specific action, because it's not part of what they were currently planning on doing?
I wonder if we could talk to Wetlands and Water, the people that treated the lake, and see if we could get them to do something for us. What do you think, Carl?
Well, that's my point. Are we willing to pay more money for them to have to do a one-time test in the next couple days?
I think we would if it was reasonable, but I think what we're trying to see if we can first get something for nothing, or just let them advise us what we need. And if it's going to be $1,000, $2,000, I might say no. But if they're going to be out there anyway, and it's only another couple $100 to run it, I'd say yes. I'm not sure where we're going to get the money, but
we can find it.
I think we could find it.
Well,
so.
I think that we have money in that. We have money from that fine that was done that we could. I think we could.
No, it's that fine goes to a contract and that's been bid, and as Carl says, that's out the door.
Okay, but they can't. You can't, Carl. They can't use that. They can't go and do additional testing.
No,
use up that $19,000 already.
The SCP plan has already authorized them to do they've already scheduled out what the water sampling is going to be for the next couple of months. And that's why if we want them to go in the next week to this one location, it would be, it's not already built into their plan. They might need to have more money either for them to come out and do the sample, or at the very least to have the testing company to do the tests.
Maybe if we can talk to them when they're out there the next time.
Yep.
If they can put a little bit more attention to that cove and the outlet pipes in that cove versus maybe a different spot, maybe that would be a good thing.
And or if they can come up with a recommendation, yeah, we can really do a great job, but it's going to cost $3,000. We'll have to reconsider that. But
all right. Get in contact with them.
Okay, so the person in the audience, if they could send another email to me and the company saying, in light of the problem that happened after the heavy rainstorm over the weekend, we'd like to have you investigate this particular catch basin.
I know what they're looking for, Carl.
Okay.
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
I know exactly. There's only one pipe there in that particular cove that anything could be coming in from. So we'll talk about it tomorrow. Give me a call.
Okay.
Idea to talk to me and find out the company he used and what spray they used in case we find out that it was an environmentally safe thing and we're doing all this for nothing.
Definitely. We can do that too. Yep. Thank you. Most of the stuff that these big companies are spraying on, whether it's a small piece of lawn or a big piece, is usually environmentally safe.
they're all licensed, and they better be.
Well, that's what I was
I mean,
thinking.
we're putting weed killer in the lake to kill the weeds. If a little bit runs down in the water and goes in and kills a couple more weeds,
Well, that's what I was thinking. We may be jumping ahead.
you know what I mean? That's what I mean. It's just that everybody's got different things. But thank you very much, and I'm glad the fish are not dying anymore, and we'll move on to the next adventure. And keep us posted if anything does start coming up on the shore.
I think what we're mostly here for is after this treatment, what's going to happen, how are we going to be able to go forward? Like, once Meehan does his thing in the lake and finds different things, how do we protect what he finds? I think it's great that he's doing it, but he's only going to give us.
Mr. Meehan has nothing to do with it now. He's
Right,
just
right.
paying
Okay.
it. So
I can answer
we
that
have hired. Well, Carl, you want to answer that?
Yeah. Yes. The fine that is funding the SCP, the Supplemental Environmental Project, that's funding a foot in the door study. It's going to come back in October, November, and give us a nice baseline. It's going to give us a lot of technical information, and then that can be used for applying for additional grants and additional funding. And of course, the company that's doing the report over the next couple of months will be perfectly willing to tell us what kind of grants could get applied for and how they could help us out in that area. So yes, the initial, what's going to happen over the next 6 months is investigation and a report. What happens after that, we'll find out what the report says and what they recommend happens in the next couple of years.
But I think we should build on momentum, your interest. The Board of Health and this Concom together should jointly take this report with input from citizens and come up with a management plan for the lake, right? It's not going to be easy and it's not going to be quick, but I
Well, that's
think
why
we all want that.
Water and Wetlands, who treats the lake now, will be working with, or in conjunction with ESS, and hopefully that they are the people treating the lake. They have to start treating things differently in certain areas. They're going to be able to. So like this whole getting all these getting all this testing done is something we would never ever probably get done because we never could afford it before. So now getting this additional money is helping out the situation to find out a little bit of history of the lake, and it's going to happen.
Oh.
They're already working together. ESS is subcontracting out to Water and Wetlands to do the actual water sampling because they're local.
I think when we get the report, we will have an open forum meeting and let everybody know. And again, as Peter says, once that ball rolls, let's just keep it rolling so that it doesn't lose any momentum.
Yes, the plan is that in October or November, when the final report is written, there will be a public meeting sponsored by the company, and we are going to be reaching out to the Lake Nipmuc Association, publishing it, and trying to get as many people to attend the presentation as possible.
Thank you. All right, I think we're in good shape.
Thank you.
And we'll keep you posted. Thanks. Thank you.
Turn out the lake, right?
Hello. Hey, so this is 23 Cape Road, property owner. Abe, Mike, Peter.
How you doing, guys? Hi.
We all know I had told him that he needed to address the silt that ran into the wetlands right away before any more of it did get into the wetlands. I went and took some pictures. I showed you the pictures. Everything has been hydroseeded, silt fence, until he gets a site plan going on there. He's out of the buffer zone now with stabilized grass, silt fence, riprap, all on the upside of the stabilized glass. Yeah, I took pictures today.
We started, first we fixed the problem. I wasn't in the country, and this letter was certified, sent to me to 234 West Street in Milford. I haven't been there in 3 years.
Yeah, that's all the address we had.
So by accident, I see the second letter. Anyway, I was overseas, and I called a few guys that they know, and I know that it was breach because the water ran down the hill. It's not from the work we did. And from down the hill, all the drain was clogged. And it just find its way, okay, and overrun about this much from the silt fence that I put originally. So anyway, we fix it, and we put another silt fence up top, about 150 feet maybe. And then we did about 2-3 acres of hydro seed. And we did from the top of the road on each drain, all around crushed stones. And so it stopped any dirt going into the drain. And then I went when it was raining a couple of days ago. It's perfect. if you go to, I have picture of the wetland all along the silt fence. It's very, very, very healthy. And it's perfect, everything from everywhere. Anybody want to go and check, it will be more. It cost tens of thousands because I wasn't here. And I think they did not only fix the problem, to prevent it from future, problem. So it doesn't matter how much rain we have, how much anything, nothing is going to happen unless we have Noah flood, honestly. So I was glad that, we were told what to do. And the guy, maybe he overdid it. It doesn't matter. If I knew this happened before, it happened in the winter, one of the rainstorm. I had no idea. Maybe in March, I had no idea until somebody brought it up to me,
So you've done a great job cleaning up that. I really appreciate that. I guess the question is, what was there that made you put up erosion control? Wasn't there a settling pond, or were there roads there that you took out?
We were doing work on the road.
Yeah.
Okay, this road, I'm trying to subdivide the place.
Yeah.
And we were preparing it because I guess probably a few years ago, before I bought it, okay, Rosenfeld, he had a plan and he was gonna do it, and I was trying to clean it up. So it looked like, if I want to sell it, somebody can look and see actual. And I was getting dirt from engineering, asphalt engineer.
Yeah.
So when they dig a driveway, they have nice dirt, okay, and some topsoil. I figure the topsoil I can sell it, and the topsoil I have. And he was bringing it, and every time he bring it, dirt on the street, and then it's downhill if you know the area. And when it rained, the dirt wash in the drainage, and it get clogged, and then it went straight down to the cul-de-sac. It's a long road, probably, I don't know, 1,500 square feet long, and it's straight down.
Coming down a slope.
So by the time I find out that so I put the silt fence because they told me you got to put a silt fence because it's the end.
Who told you had to put the silt?
Barrow, Glenn Barrow.
Is he an engineer or yourself?
No, and the engineer, his name is John. I can't say his last name.
So I guess the problem I have is you were doing work within 100 feet of the wetland.
Probably, maybe more.
Maybe more?
Maybe more. The cul-de-sac.
How far is the?
It's the road. I'm sorry. The road was there.
I understand. The road still is paved?
It's paved. And it have fire hydrogen and it have drainage.
And did it ever have a detention pond?
Detention pond? No.
No. So there was no plan. So I'm not sure what plan. We didn't approve a plan.
No. There was no plan. But if I want to subdivide it, John, the engineer, he said we have to make detention pond, okay, before we do any other work.
Right, so you have to put a detention pond. It's got to be at the low spot. So usually the detention ponds are close to a wetland, within 100 feet. And usually you come in with a plan that the planning board approves the road with all the layout, and we'd approve.
I'm not doing a road.
Yeah, but that road has been there for,
the road is over there, probably, I don't know.
Well, that road didn't get an order of condition.
That road was there
This
25, 30 years
1970,
ago.
I gave the town an easement.
Billy Hood
When we went out there, we went out to Rosenfeld.
Billy Hood put that road in. There's water in that road.
The water, I just gave him an easement.
Yeah, but Billy did the water tap. Billy ran the water line down that road. It's all asbestos pipe. Can't fucking do that. Yeah. That's been a long time ago, yeah.
And there was...
The road was built without a detention pond.
Oh, who knows what was down there? I mean, crazy, but there's been two owners.
What do you mean, who knows? There was a plan. There should have been a plan.
No, we can look it up and see if Abe Rosenfeld.
I think the road was put in the 70s, and the drain, in the end of the huge cul-de-sac, the land, like it's a flat there. It's not anymore downhill. And then the drain that goes from here, when I walk down, probably 100 feet, there is a pipe this big, and it goes down from the rain, the water rain, and it goes down. So when I build up the garage and the the car wash, they didn't let me they didn't let me put the water there only 10%. So I had to put a detention pond on 140 and detention pond in the back for all the water management from the downspouts, from the rainwater.
Or the commercial area, which is
Yes.
up on 140.
Yes, this is developed. The other one, I didn't touch it.
I understand. but
Okay, I was trying to,
move dirt, and so the problem is you put up erosion control which is the right thing to do, but it wasn't maintained and it got away from you. So I haven't walked up on your property, but I've walked on the other side, and there is silt that's probably off your property.
overran, yeah.
Overran that silt fence.
If you wanna, I cleaned it. If you would like, you can go and
I
look.
would like, because
Yes.
the challenge is you've done a great job fixing the problem, so
Did
it
you
won't
see
happen
it,
again.
when did you see it last?
I saw it when they were spraying it, and I went out there, and
Yeah,
that was 3
okay.
weeks ago, and I've seen
If you go
pictures.
now, after it's done,
And I'm
and you
sure-
see the grass like this high,
It's a beautiful job. I have no problem with the silt fence back. What I have a problem with is that the silt that got away from you, that's probably off your property.
I paid I wasn't here. I was in overseas, okay? The guy told me 3 guys, they do this work where the silt fence and silts went probably this wide, if you've seen it, probably from here to there, okay? And to clean it, $45. I said, I don't care what it costs. I pay close to $50,000. I didn't even ask how much. I said, just do anything that I need to. So it's an accident. I didn't create the problem, you know? So whatever happened, I made sure it's fixed, and I made sure it's not gonna happen again. So
Right, but I don't-
what else you want me to do? I don't know.
I don't know. I think I want a professional to say.
They're professional, okay?
Who was
And
a professional? He was a landscaper, the guy I talked to.
I didn't use the landscaper. I use Olympia. He does highways and.
I don't know, very nice man
and I-
came over to me and said. he's a
Okay,
friend
I'm gonna
of
ask you a
somebody.
question.
Yeah.
If I'm not a professional and I did a better than professional job, what do you want? You want the result or you want a professional? Who's professional? I hire many professional people. They don't know nothing, okay? So you go over there. If there is anything missing, I'll do it. I'm not here for.
Love to do a site.
Okay, I have no problem.
Well, yeah, what day is good for you, you can take a ride.
I'm over there 7 days a week, except on Sunday. I go to work because my wife and kid, they don't wake up until 11 and I can't stay home. So I'm there on Sunday from 7 until 11. Then I go make them breakfast. This is beyond the subject. And the rest of the week, I'm there from 6:30, 7 o'clock until 5:30. So anytime, sir, I can give you my cell
Mike, is there a
phone.
good time for you, or would you?
When do you want to do it?
I can do it anytime. I'm very flexible. I know you're the working guy. Or whoever wants to come. I don't want to go alone, but I do want to go.
It's just across the street from me.
Yeah, right, you're right down the street.
So that implies maybe a Saturday. I don't know what your schedule is.
And if you see anything, I'll be really.
I can make a Saturday.
I'm a farmer back home. We have.
You love the land and you appreciate it. So
I really do.
Yes.
Okay, and I always try to do the thing the right way. And I wish when I get the first letter, I receive it. The people in the premier dealer, it used to be Mobico mine. I leased it to this guy 3 years ago. They signed a certified letter for me. They signed it. They never even told me. So this second one, I went by accident. My mailing address, the town, everything gets sent to 25 Cape Road. Okay, so this one, they sent it to Milford.
Thank you for coming and thank you
No,
for your
thank
proper
you, and I'm
response.
sorry,
There
this
might be
happened.
further work needed.
Believe me, I listen to you guys. I don't know how you guys do it. The devil is the detail, okay? So when you say, I want to see detail, I mean, I have seen the plans. They only have details. The plan is for detail, So I really,
So thank you.
I appreciate your time, what you do for the town, because I don't think, honestly, people understand what this go through. You sit after work for how many hours? Okay, I'm sure you're all starving. I am, okay?
We've had, so Maybe not this
Anytime.
Saturday, but a following Saturday, or?
Yeah, I think most of my Saturdays are pretty open the next few weeks.
We'll talk. or
We'll
it's-
talk. Next Saturday.
Can I leave my my
could
cell
be.
phone number because sometime I'm in the garage or in the.
I'll give it to Bill.
Okay.
Yes, give it to Bill.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to forward, I can
Thank you.
forward it to you. Thanks, Dave.
Okay, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Have a good day.
And I'm sorry for the trouble I caused.
You're good.
It happens.
All right.
I don't know, maybe Bill
How
can
you
chime
doing
in.
up there?
I don't know what you actually had to sign.
Not much. The only one is the first one.
Take care.
184 Millville needs to
Yeah.
get signed, so that's that.
Yep. That's the
And
only.
then 27 Park, you finished?
Yeah, it's only the certificate of compliance for Millville Street and 27 Park, that's it. And then,
That was last meeting.
yep, Damon needs to sign the voucher for Bruce Roy. That should be in that stack there too.
All right, let's, getting late here, so let's move on here. What do we got? Bob, what are you here to discuss ongoing stuff with 50 Milford Street?
That's you, right?
Oh,
On the agenda, so I just wanted to make sure.
if anybody's going to talk about it, it's going to have to be guarded anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I did get an email from Tim McGuire. I can put it up on your screen. It's in your folder also, or I can just read it to you.
Yep.
But it's just a quick update. How do you want me to share it on the screen or?
Yep. No, you can just tell us about it.
All right, it says, per the request of the 50 Milford Street applicant, I will not be in attendance tonight. To provide an update of ongoing work on site, the replication area construction is underway with red maples planted. The suites are waiting for a surveyor to confirm square footage of the area is correct through the composition of an as-built prior to installing any additional plantings. Please feel free to reach out if you have any other questions or concern. They are hoping to have this construction completed soon in order to move the project along. That was from Tim McGuire.
Go. Thanks, Bob.
Well, I guess it's great that you're doing it. I'm sure it's doing the right job. But it just looks to people, and there's been a complaint, that you're doing other work besides what is needed for the replication or the
Enforcement order.
the enforcement order, so that the moving of the dirt other than what is needed for the wetland, if it shouldn't be done in the buffer. So it's just, I'm not sure, I haven't gone and looked at it or what you're moving around, but if you're moving around dirt that is not called for in the restoration plan,
That's what I was
you should
looking for.
probably wait until you get a permit and a plan for what you're
Looking for a
doing there.
topo like this.
Yeah, but it doesn't have any elevations on it.
No.
Oh, there it is.
But,
Oh, you're looking for something like that for them? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean?
The application area. Peter, while you're over there at 27, please allow me to stop over.
I will, I'll,
You'll see just pictures of it today.
yeah.
It's been in the mailbox, yeah.
I'm gonna just take a picture of it, send it to Tim.
Vegetation is starting to repopulate.
It's looking good.
The trees are going down. I don't want to put in the couple bushes or the azaleas until I get this approved. Once I get my square footage down, once the water table drops, I'm gonna put those in and bring you guys a plan.
Great.
I don't want to do that, so I can guarantee that my square.
We'll get a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn, are we there?
Yep.
Second.
Hey, gentlemen, can I just get an approval for junk license for, oh, come on, Mr. Lowell?
Or Main Street.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve a junkyard.
Favor?
Aye.
Hey, just a question, Bill, is this your last day or is there gonna be someone to replace you? What do we know?
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, I know nothing, except that I'm gonna try to wrap up all this business next week and then step aside.
That
Okay.
guy from Upton and Northwood is supposed to be here, but you know
I was
what?
gonna ask the same question, is that a conversation I should have?
Yes,
Oh,
because
yeah.
we're in the, no one talks to us.
Well, I had a conversation with that guy and Kim, it was probably a month and a half ago, And he was like, yeah, I'm going away, but I'm gonna be, but I'll be back. But then I never heard anything more about it. And I know Bill.
A replacement for Bill?
Yeah, well, there's nobody that can replace
I
Bill.
thought you were the replacement.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
Keep on, Bill.
I can't.
Hey, while we're here, I want to acknowledge the amazing help that Dan Byer's given me for the last number of months. It's really been pretty amazing. Appreciate it, Dan.
Bill, I want to personally thank you for your years of service with us.
Thanks. You have my mailing address. You can send me goodies.
So I just sent that to Tim.